what really helps is situational awareness. Awareness is huge, and that's what I hold very close to my heart. So these are some of the things, that would help me get back on the ground and help me live a kind of a normal schedule. How should I actually be on the top of the game without feeling exhausted? And I've had a deck on board experience as well.
Nowsheen, and you've doubled into areas which I really want to double click on. So let's talk about your entire airline industry experience. Now, I have flown a lot in the last decade and continue to fly. I've just taken a flight over the weekend and I'm taking a flight again tomorrow. So I do fly a
Right,
lot. And I wonder, while as a passenger, I have a certain experience, uh,
right.
as a person on the other side has more experience than just my own experience, as an example. Now, yeah, and they are good and bad. I have seen good experiences, I've seen bad experiences, and I've seen pathetic experiences as well. you know
Right.
in those moments of experiences, your dopamine levels, your mental
Yeah.
health, and your own physical space and your own mental space can get challenged.
True.
It can be high, it can be low, and you can have those moments, ups and downs. And in those moments, while you have your friends and colleagues who are around you, sometimes it feels
True.
lonely as well, and 35,000 feet high in the air. you know uh,
Absolutely.
would you want to share your own experiences where you've had these moments, and more importantly, how you've been able to get back to yourself and say, hey, this is a moment, let it pass through, let it go through.
Right. Absolutely. There have been experiences, and not just one, many, many experiences. I would say every flight is a different flight altogether. It's a different experience because no flight you will carry the same people with you, and no flight you will fly with the same people, like the set of staff members or the crew members. It will be different. Maybe one or two would be familiar faces, but with an airline like the magnanimity of the genre that Emirates is, we hardly used to get to see each other, this familiar faces. So yes, there used to be a lot of experiences. For example, in one flight, I was a flight in charge, and I would have to do my crew members' flight review performance as well. I would have to attend to a medical emergency at the same time. I would have to look pleasing and serve with a smile to the customers on the other end in the business class or the first class as well. And also take care of the elderly
Hmm.
that are there on board. And if something happened, or if there was another incident that possibly required a restraint, that also happened during my flight experience. So all of that does kind of throw your hormones or your mood or mental health into a frenzy. And then that's where the knowledge, the training, and the peer support that Emirates airline provided us was absolutely fantastic. And what really helps is situational awareness. Awareness is huge, and that's what I hold very close to my heart. Orishus, if you see the work, it's very huge on building awareness, and through awareness, we help people realize where they are at this level and where is it that they want to go. So it was the same in my flying experience as well, if not same each flight, but yes, on very specific flights, for example, Chinese flights, it was a shared test of patience because of the language, because I didn't know the language, and how do we actually converse? So it was all symbolic. It was all grabbing hold of some crew members who were actually speaking the language and trying to manage the time, space, and other responsibilities. It was a
Hmm.
shared test of patience, but that's what leadership is all about. You have to go through it. At the same time, you have a choice whether to be vulnerable with your team or not. And many a times I was, because that's,
Yeah.
in all honesty, we are humans. We can't put a fake face and just go and say that, I don't do emotions. That's not possible. We are humans. So, emotional intelligence, I would say, another thing that has kept me going all these years. When I started recognizing my own emotions and understanding them, only then I could understand and experience what the other person is going through. So these are some of the things, that would help me get back on the ground and help me live a kind of a normal schedule. And what else helped was a part-time, dual role of training and
Yep.
flying. That kind of kept me going in both the spaces. I had the best of the flying experience. I had the best of the training experience. So that's in a
Yeah.
in a nutshell my experience with flying aviation.
But always one thing which fascinates me, Nowsheen, is when I look at the crew, when I look at the people who are in the plane and who are serving always with a smile. There may
Right.
be a lot going on behind them. Uh, in that moment, back home, in life, but they have to put on a nice smile and be friendly. But at the end of the day, they are human as well. Uh, and
Absolutely.
the training in that sense takes a lot of effort, and more importantly, putting on that mask or that facade. Sorry if I'm saying that it's a facade, but putting on that facade,
It
you can
is
only live through that. If it's a 16-hour flight, 12-hour flight, you
true.
can only put for the first couple of hours. You can't live through it for the next 12 hours. uh,
True.
it takes a lot of effort, and I highly appreciate, by the way, people who are in the airline industry. And unfortunately, people get stereotyped, a lot of judgments get passed onto the individuals who are working in that space, and I have a
True.
higher regard for them, because the kind of experiences anybody would be facing through that 12-hour or even a 2-hour journey can never give, or you can never have any experience in working on the ground as well. So I'm talking more about that, keeping that headstrong mental energy for the 12 hours,
Right.
16 hours flight is tough. While and as you mentioned about your crew, your people being vulnerable in front of your own
Yes.
team, but being vulnerable in front of the guest is a different ask altogether, and it's not recommended as well.
True.
So how do you balance that aspect?
It's a very interesting question, actually, and I would say I have had the blessed fortune of building some amazing relationships while I was flying and meeting some fabulous people who, on the other end, also understood what human connectedness meant in real sense. And when we go by labels, okay, crew member, okay, she or he is supposed to serve me, or I have creme de la creme expectations because it's a creme de la creme airline. Yes, of course, but at the end of the day, we're all catering to our needs. I am there because I have a need.
Mhm.
Whether it's a learning, a growth, or a monetary need, I am there for my needs. That other person is in that flight from point A to point B. For them, it's not just a journey. For them, it's an experience. So,
Yeah.
as a flight attendant, if I would understand that, what is it that they really expect from us or me as an individual, that is where it really helps, understanding the basics of my job. Why am I here? The big why is the fundamental that keeps you going, the purpose that keeps you going. Why this flight? Why that flight? Why this customer, for example, this guest, for example, and why my crew members, for example? How should I actually be on the top of the game without feeling exhausted? Yes, it is exhausting. It is, trust me, it is beyond exhausting. But a lot of self composure, a lot of some techniques. For example, I used to be in, like, I used to practice yoga a lot, and that kind of kept me
Nice.
quite calm, quite composed. Yes, in situations like turbulence, in situations like if at all there was an evacuation, people start taking flight attendants
Was there
seriously.
one for you
Only,
in your
God forbid,
experience?
not really evacuation, but yeah, turbulence. There have been many, many experiences. There was a restraint as well. So yeah, there are a lot of, when you have in that metal tube, when you have 300 plus cultures moving around and flying in that plane. So you can imagine how many stories are there, how many anxieties are there, how many depressed people are there, how many happy people are there, and how many beyond happy people are there.
Yeah.
If they have had a few more drinks, then that's
Yeah.
beyond happiness for them. That they get out of control. So yeah, it's been a
Definitely.
fabulous experience, but definitely when it
Yeah.
comes to mental health, that needs to be kept in check. And I really appreciate the kind of support some of the organizations, and one of them obviously I had the fortune to work with Emirates, the kind of support after the flight, if some incident happened on the flight, and I've had a death on board experience as well. And it was
Oh,
traumatic
wow.
for me, to watch the dead. And I was like 2 months into flying. I was literally like a baby in that aircraft.
Wow.
To the whole flight, like 7 hours, I saw the dead body in front of me. Obviously, we couldn't pronounce the person dead. It was up to the medical authorities, but we knew because we tried everything we could to save that person. So that was my first experience with mental health trauma at that time, which really, after we landed on ground, there was a lot of paperwork, a lot of admin formalities. But once I was out of that uniform, that's where it hit me. That's where the real person and the real challenge begins. Who do you talk to? You may not choose to talk to your family, but then that's where you have to build your own circle. You either look for a community that is either engaged into these kind of programs, or just to someone who is a confidant, just open your heart out. That really helped me. And to some people, I became that confidant. That's how the journey, the story, the learning, and the growth really started.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed this clip from my podcast series called Masters Decoded. The intention of bringing these clips to you is to allow you to understand some key moments of the conversations I've had with my guest. I would recommend and highly encourage you to listen to the entire podcast, which you can find the link to the podcast in the description below. I look forward to you subscribing to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of all the future clips which we keep releasing every week on this channel.